Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's tough after lunch in this weather, especially listening to CTV through the day. I'm sure you guys are already pro. You know what you want, you know what you have. Uh, I will try not to bore you guys. And trust me, this is not a sales deck, but I lie very often, so it is a sales deck. But I'll try to keep it generic as much as I can. But essentially, it's not embarrassing to see your own photo when you're presenting again. And this is what I'm going to cover in the next probably 20 minutes. First is evolution of CTV. Moving forward to solving the challenges in CTV, which we have seen probably through the morning. A little bit of interesting pointers on YouTube because it's a wall garden. Is Pratik here or left already? Pratik left already, so I'm happy. Oh, you're here. And then what are the best practices on CTV measurement, right? Before that, let's look at what really CTV means, right? CTV is a subset of OTTs, which is over-the-top entertainment, right? If you look at OTT, comes in multiple devices, multiple screens, right? And CTV is one of the screen. So as Harish was talking earlier, right, your planning fundamentals probably won't change irrespective of the device that you are accessing content from, right? So OTT has desktop, mobile or tabs, and then CTV. And within CTV, if you see, again, there are multiple formats / devices which also caters to advertisements, right? So that includes your smart TVs, your gaming consoles, your streaming devices like Fire Stick and set-top boxes, right? Your Airtel and Tata Skies of the world, right? And each one has their own inventory in some form of the other, right? Your OEMs have their inventory, your content providers have their inventory, right? So it's slightly same yet complex ecosystem when it comes to measurement of the CTV campaigns or the ads that you run. And the growth of CTV we have seen through the morning, it's just exponential. This is global data. CTV as percentage of ad spends on video is roughly at about 15% this year, and probably will be about 16 to 17% the amount of budgets that CTV will capture in next year or so. Interestingly, what we have seen at DV, the amount of impressions that we are tracking on CTV are growing substantially, right? Globally, if you see US, we've seen about 51% growth in CTV impressions tracking. Brazil is about 450%. India, second largest, is about 370% growth in CTV impressions for our clients that we measure, which is huge, right? Obviously, the base is small, but even with the small base, this growth is massive. And we expect this growth to continue going forward for next couple of years because we're just at a juncture where the CTV is going to explode. Yeah. But always any growth comes with its own pain points, right? The video completion rate on CTV are phenomenal, right? Almost at 100%, and we all know that. But the catch is, what we have seen, and not just us, but one of the largest agency group has released a report saying 1 of 3 CTV impressions are served when the screen is off, right? Which is almost, so your viewability drops at 70% suddenly, right? So only 70% of your impressions have propensity to see, right? Have an opportunity to see, right? And then the viewability will start mounting on that. That's where we have heard a lot of panelists speaking about transparency, right? That's where the transparency kicks in. So transparency is a big issue. 1 out of 3 impressions serving on when the TV is off is a big issue. And the fraud, of course, right? So what we have seen is the CTV fraud violation rates are comparatively really high. because obviously it's a new environment, it's a new device, so fraudsters are in action. They can trick the systems really quickly and easily. So for managed campaigns, if you see the fraud rates are sub 1%. For unmanaged campaigns, they are like above 10%, 11%, right? Which is significant, especially when you look at CTV as a premium environment. The premium CPM that you pay on CTV, yet 10% is probably fraud, 70% probably is viewability. Big, big risk, right? For the amount of money and the CPMs that this device demands. And we saw this, right? Fraud follows money. As the investments on CTV continues to grow, the fraud signatures will continue to increase. We have seen about 3x amount of CTV fraud schemes detected since 2020, right? Year on year, 70% increase in bots on CTV front. And 72% year-on-year increase in video filtering rate, which prevents ads from serving to fraudulent inventory or unsuitable inventory, right? And these numbers are significant when you look at the growing base. Today we're talking about 40 million, 50 million, 30 million, whatever that number is. If that doubles probably in 6, 8, 12 months, then you will see the impressions of these percentages translating into much higher amounts that are going as a waste, and the CPMs, premium CPMs that you're paying for CTV inventory. Again, the fragmentation of content, right? There are so many OTTs, there are so many channels, there are so many devices now from which you can access OTTs from, right? Or CTV from. And we keep on doing research every year, which is called DV4 Fundamental Shifts. The last year's report saw that 74% of Indians have subscribed to more services, streaming services, than what they used to do it a year before, right? That number is massive. It's almost every streamer has added one or two more services from content consumption perspective, right? And that again will pump in the inventory, that again will pump in more content, that again will pump in more advertising money, which will again result into a lack of transparency and wastage of the ad dollars that are going in vain, right? So 4 myths that we have on CTV, which we need to really look at considerably and carefully. One is it's fraud free. CTV is not fraud free, right? Fraud follows money, as I said earlier. We have seen about more than 5,000 plus fraudulent apps are already there on CTV environment, right? You'll never know that. Ads are viewable by default. We probably feel that when I'm advertising on CTV, I'm advertising in 100% viewable environment, not necessarily. We saw about 1/3 of your impressions are served when the TV is off. Yeah, it's naturally a brand safe environment. It should be in idealistic scenario, which every other environment should be when you are advertising. But inflammatory politics, adult content, news, which probably is not relevant for your brand or suitable for your brand, copyright infringements, still pretty evident, still pretty visible on CTV front as well. And direct buys, direct IO buys are safeguarding me. Not necessarily, guys. All these 3 things combined together can affect any type of buy on CTV, irrespective of the device or the provider or the content that you're buying. Yeah. Now, how do we solve for these challenges, right? That's when my sales pitch starts. If you look at general linear TV environment, what are the things that are available to you guys, right? When you're buying TV, you know the seller, you know the publisher, you know the program that you're buying, you know the time slot that you're buying, you know why you're paying premium, you know the episodes that you will be aired your ad on. So this whole transparency, which makes advertisers comfortable when they spend on linear TV. Where they start feeling discomfort is again the transparency based piece, which we're talking since morning, right? They know the seller, but do they really know where my ad is going, which publisher my ad will be hosted on? Not necessarily, In some cases, yes. Where my ad and on which app it will be shown on, do I know? Not necessarily. Show episode timing, probably if I do that kind of buy, then yes. But if I'm buying it ROS programmatically, probably I will not know that. And that makes advertisers slightly uncomfortable when they start thinking about investing on CTV. Can we solve for it? Yes, we can. Uh, can we optimize for it? Yes, we can. Are there solutions available already in the market? We're talking about transparency and lack of transparency, but yes, maybe the solutions are not foolproof, but they are good enough to give you confidence to start investing in CTV, start testing the platforms, publishers, build that confidence, and then move on, right? Because you will never have 100% foolproof solution available to you from measurement perspective, but it's good enough indicator for you to start evaluating the platform, which we know that it works phenomenally well by these 1,000 studies that are available in the market. Yeah. And other major challenges, audience networks, right? What are audience networks or extension networks, right? So they really use the data, the publishers will use the data and start sending impressions in the network that working with, right? So those can be your long tail video providers that they'll work with, non-OTT web pages again, unintended impressions sent in the geos that you don't want the ads to be seen in or shown in, and unsuitable CTV content, right? Because most of the times the extensions are outside of the publisher ecosystem, right? So it's very important from publisher's perspective to control the delivery and make sure that it aligns with the client's mandates where they're comfortable the ads to be shown at. Yeah. And that's where Divi comes into the place where we say that we help you measure the authenticity of the ad. And when I say authenticity of the ad, we launched this metric called authentic ad, which gives a clear information and clear report and measurement about whether the ad has been viewable and brand suitable and fraud free and served in geo, right? It's not or, right? You don't want your ad to be viewable but served in non-brand safe environment. Your ad to be brand safe but not fraud free. So every impression to be a quality impression needs to be brand safe plus viewable plus served in geo and plus fraud free. Right? That's a basic requirement, or probably every single advertiser deserves this kind of inventory, and which is what we will try and report and measure and also help our customers optimize on. Yeah. And we do that with simple one tag, which we call as Omni tag. What it does is it's one single video tag that is environment agnostic. It runs everywhere, no different capabilities across devices, across formats. It works really well. It is slightly technical, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but it supports all sorts of content. It supports all devices. It supports everything, just one tag, and you get all reports in the window with all the details and transparency as you can. Yeah. It's from viewability perspective, it's 100% coverage on video campaigns via DV Video Complete. So you get to know the viewability. You also get to know the fraud. You also get to know the TV screen off. So we call it fully on screen. Then robust suitability solutions, only full-scale CTV suitability measurement and controls, going at an app level as well. Viewability, we spoke about it, industry's first scale CTV viewability measurement solutions, which also is MRC accredited. Sorry, again, super busy slide, but broadly, the full suite of solutions which covers viewability. We're talking about it again and again, which is fully on-screen quartile completion, which anyways is available there. Fake traffic, fraudulent apps and spoofing from fraud perspective. So you get complete transparency there as well. Comprehensive brand suitability on CTV. So you can start building your inclusion exclusion lists, uh, brand suitable categories. So the categories that you can pick and choose from, uh, like news and inflammatory politics, if you want to stay away from, you can simply block that content from the category perspective. And App Store data. So define your unique brand suitability standards, basis age ratings, star ratings, App Store categories, and so on and so forth. What is available? We spoke about it fully on screen on pre-bid as well, right? So even before the impression is served, you can ensure that it is served in an environment that is suitable to you, fraudulent, free from frauds. It's viewable, right? And you're not paying for any other impression. So you can do that at a pre-bid level. And what is coming soon is attention measurement on CTV, which is going to be huge. So viewability now is probably a baseline for all the advertisers, all the agencies. But what happens after viewability is now going to make a lot of difference, because every single user is probably exposed to thousands of ads now. So just mere measuring viewability is not going to be sufficient. Is that viewability translating into any kind of stickiness, any kind of attention, any kind of engagement is what is going to be the next level of measurement, which is what we are already seeing in the market. It's right now not available on CTV, but we'll soon be launching a product to measure attention on CTV as well. Quickly touching upon YouTube, because it's slightly evolved as we partner very closely with Google to bring in more and in-depth measurement for YouTube as well, right? So from brand suitability perspective, it's a full suite solution from pre-screen to post-bid. Now, what happens at a pre-screen level is you can set up your brand suitability settings right from day one, and will ensure that the ads are shown only in the environment that you want it to be seen, and you don't have to pay for the non-suitable impressions. Post-campaign helps in measurement and reporting, which happens along with pre-screen settings. Now, how does it work? How do we ensure that right from day one you are in the brand suitable environment on YouTube, right? So we have something called as DV Media Score. So what we do is, depending on the marketer's brand safety and suitability requirement, we give them a list of channels that are already brand suitable as per the needs, and the delivery will be only restricted to only those channels that they deem fit, so that they don't have to again wait for the impressions to be served and then see whether it has served and then start optimizing it. Right from day one, the advertisers are ensured that they're in the brand suitable environment. Yeah. And how it has helped improving the performance in general for advertisers, right? On YouTube front, almost 99% brand suitable inventory for advertisers or our customers, what we have seen after implementation of pre-screen on YouTube, right? 26% of budgets which were earlier were going to non-brand suitable or misaligned impressions can now be reinvested, which is a massive amount if you look at the investments that you're doing, right? 26% of your media budgets can now be reinvested in the right impressions and right environment, right? Moving even beyond that, from brand suitability rates, right? Average, we have seen 10%, more than 10% increase in brand suitability rate. So earlier, if your brand suitability probably was 80%, now it is upwards of 90%, right? Which is again, 10% of your budgets have now been used in the right environment. Yeah. This is the last slide. I think I'm on time. Some of the best practices, and the first one is again not a sales pitch, but use DV. Use DV's video omni tag for all your standard CTV buys. See, we have been talking about transparency. I'm reiterating it since morning, but the tools are available. And it's not just TV, right? You can just Google, you'll get a couple of other tools as well, but start using third-party measurement tools. The moment we start implementing it, we'll start practicing it, we'll know that measurement and transparency is available. We'll not just talk about it, right? We have solutions available. High time we need to implement those, right? Assess inventory, partnerships, and quality. Definitely, before you start planning, you need to assess the partners. You need to be partnering with quality providers. Deploy uniform brand suitability settings. So CTV is not a different, it's not an alien environment, right? CTV is part of your overall buys. So you cannot have a different strategy for CTV versus a mobile versus a desktop, right? It needs to be a cohesive one single strategy, and CTV needs to be a part of that strategy. Yeah. Obviously, monitoring and updating exclusion list becomes really, really critical. Now you can create inclusion exclusion list, use your DSPs, use third-party measurement tools, create those inclusion exclusion lists. And it's not about creating it for once and then sitting duck on it, right? You need to continuously monitor and update those at a frequent time zones, right? And video filtering, it's slightly technical, but it typically helps you block the content that you don't want to advertise on, right? So start using latest technology like video filtering to ensure that the environment in which you are advertising on is relatable, is suitable, and you're not wasting the media budgets that you have. That's pretty much from my side. Thank you so much. This is the barcode that you can scan to download CTV report from Double Verify. It's a small CTV guide, so if you want, you can just scan it or reach out to us. Thank you so much for being patient and listening to me. Happy to discuss if you want to discuss anything offline. Thanks, agency reporter. Thanks, Rahul, everyone. Thank you.